Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Market Voice. Trading is no different from a warfare. Trading is a everyday battlefield that the trader has to fight and win. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I chose warfield treaties or wisdoms from warfield and trying to map it to the trading activities, because all of such circumstances that we see in trading activities are also seen in a warfare, and we have very good wisdom available in with respect to the war and managing of armies and other things. I thought it would be good to pick up something from warfield database and then see how we can map it to our trading activities. We all know market is a very dynamic terrain. We know, the history repeats itself, or there are repeatable patterns in the markets. So when we say, on the one hand, market cycles are predictable, market repeats the same set of patterns, then how can we call it dynamic? Well, though the patterns are repeated, though the cycles keep happening, markets are still dynamic, because there are so many different types of patterns, so many different types of cyclic movements which a normal human cognitive senses cannot comprehend, because of which markets always look volatile or extremely dynamic, and it won't get into anybody's hands so easily. You try to catch it is like you are trying to catch a fish in the water. It's so difficult to catch small fishes in the water. You can try that if you have a small aquarium, put some small fishes and see, trying to catch the fish while the fishes are inside the water. Or it is also like hitting a fly. When a fly comes and sits on your hand, try to go close to it from whichever angle. It just senses something and does the opposite. Market is no different. Market is so dynamic. You try going close to it to catch something, it just slips out of your hand. The profits does not remain in your hand. It very soon gets taken away or sucked into the market once again. So these are all the common experiences that we see in the markets, because though the patterns are repeated, though it is true that history repeats itself and there are very much identifiable patterns in the markets, but the very fact that there are innumerous patterns, we cannot identify which pattern is going on. If we know what pattern is going on, then it becomes easy for us to catch that pattern, and more or less 100% of the time it moves the same way. But the problem is we can't read the pattern, because there are no few patterns. There are innumerous patterns which is almost impossible for any person to identify it, one, and two, to automate that. it is so agile, it is so tricky, it is so fluid. So it is very important that we understand, though the markets repeat itself, each pattern repeats itself in very exact the same way, but still, because our eyes or our cognitive skills cannot comprehend what kind of pattern is currently going on, we will never be able to really achieve 100% result in stock markets. And that's the reason I say markets are extremely dynamic. So once we come into this conclusion of yes, markets are dynamic, how do we really survive in this, or how do we take some positive alpha out of it? What do we do so that we can be in the game for long and see some good returns also in the meanwhile? One of the important traits that a trader should inculcate inside himself is adapting to the circumstances. It's very, very important. We start off a trade with a particular premise. Maybe we think this pattern looks similar to what I have already seen, so we enter into the trade based on that premise, and as we go along we start noticing the circumstances are changing, the market behavior is not like how it has behaved in the pattern which I had identified before. So which also means the pattern which you thought is happening in the market is not happening. Then you have to be quick enough to adapt yourself. So today's topic is all about adapting to the circumstances. You need to remember market is very dynamic and you can always be wrong. So how quickly you adapt yourself to the current situations or the revised conditions will determine whether how long you will stay in the game. Like Charles Darwin once said, it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. So who survives long in the evolution is the one who adapts to the change. Very similarly, who survives in the market or who does well in the market in the long run are the ones who adapt to the circumstances well. It is like surfing on the water. You should go along with the waves. So you should have a mechanism of understanding the tidal undercurrents and also keep adapting yourself while sailing. So this adapting to the circumstances is very, very critical for you to be in the game for long. In fact, coming back to our discussion on the book The Art of War, what does SunTzu say with respect to war in terms of adaptation to the circumstances? In the third chapter, Attack by Stratagem, the 15th treaty, he says, by employing the officers of his army without discrimination through ignorance of the military principles of adaptation to circumstances. This shakes the confidence of the soldiers. So what he says, you should know the circumstances that might evolve in the military operations and you should have a plan of action for such circumstances. When you are entering into a war, we should know what are all the possible circumstances that he might encounter, and if he encounters these kind of circumstances, what will he do to counter that is what will determine whether he will win in war or not. Very similarly, while entering into the trade itself, he should know what kind of circumstances might evolve as he is traveling in the trade. One, he should always remember the markets are dynamic, so he could be wrong. And secondly, when the revised information comes or the revised price movement happens or the price movements are not happening as per his anticipation, then he should know how to circumvent or how to overcome the circumstances or sail along with the circumstances. He needs to adapt himself like a water, like Bruce Lee once said, be like water, my friend, flow like a water. So water can adapt to any kind of a bowl. Very similarly, we need to be agile enough to be able to adapt to any kind of circumstances in terms of having a very clear stop losses, in terms of having a very clear target definitions, in terms of always having in the back of mind that I could be wrong in this trade, my analysis could be wrong, my expectations may not happen in this trade. We should always have that defensive thought process in our mind. We should not be negative thought process thinking like every trade will be a losing trade. We would have entered into the trade based on the probability. So we know there is a probability of 60 to 70% of this trade becoming a winner, but at the same time there should always be back of our mind that yes, I could be wrong to the extent of 25 to 30% in this trade also. Like in the aircraft industry, they say the flights blowing up rate is just 1%. So there is 99% success rate that the next flight will not catch fire while flying. There is 99.99% accuracy that the next flight will not catch fire, but still there is that 0.1% probability that yes, such mishaps can happen, which we have seen many a times, so many aircrafts burning in the air. So we know there is such possibility also, but then that shouldn't stop us from flying at all, because there is a very high probability of having a successful flight journey. So in the field of finance and economics, this is called as black swan, wherein unknown big event might happen anytime and we should be aware of it. Just because unknown big event might happen, we should not stop trading, but we should adapt to the circumstances by keeping all the factors known for us. Which circumstances might emerge, we may not know, but we will know what to do if a particular circumstances emerges. So that is with respect to today's topic on market voice. Develop a mindset to adapt to the circumstances. Do not hang on to your preconceived notions. No, I am right, I will make money in this trade only. No, I know the market will come in my favor. You may have to end up paying big price eventually. So keep those things in your mind and be a agile, adaptive trader. Having said that, let us meet tomorrow with one more topic. Until then, Om Swasti.